Hello,
Hello.
how are you?
Oh, I'm tired. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks.
We're here to talk about the first of the anthology Star Wars films,
Yeah,
chronologically ordered, because I think it's actually the second one to come out.
yeah,
Um, it's Solo, a Star Wars story.
yeah.
Yeah, that's this is new for you, isn't it? You've not seen this
It
before.
is. This is the first of these Star Wars films we're doing that I have not previously seen, as you rightly say.
Mm. So, what did you make of it?
Didn't like it much.
Did you not?
No, I didn't hate it. I put it this way: I could watch all the other ones again. I don't think I'd ever watch this again. Um, a few good bits, mostly they're a bit messy. Um,
Wow.
yeah. What did you make of it?
You know, I consider this to be an okay film, but it didn't need to be made.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it's a
I
film that didn't need to be made, but it was all right.
I broadly agree with that.
Okay.
Broadly.
Cool. Shall we go through?
Yeah, go on.
Go on then. So, obviously, we start off. Han is on his home planet of Corellia,
Yes.
stealing a speeder.
Yes, to get away from some people
Yep.
after a
Uh,
deal gone wrong.
yep. We find out that he's part of some gang in a sort of Oliver Twist style situation.
Yeah,
Um,
working for a big worm lady.
yeah, and then he sort of stands up for himself and does a runner.
Yeah, and then we never visit that planet or that worm lady ever again.
Correct. Although he did intend to.
Yeah, I
Worth noting.
this is I think one of the things I don't really like about this film is it jumps around a lot.
Yep.
We one of many characters we will never see again, who I sort of assumed would be a bigger part of the film.
Hang on. We'll never see again in this Star Wars movie.
Oh joy!
What you need to remember is that with it being the Star Wars universe, there's probably a comic book series
Yeah,
and a TV at least an episode in which her character is explored, um, and all sorts of other shit that will be going on at some point, almost
well,
certainly.
right, but I mean, I'm a very casual Star Wars watcher,
Evidently,
and from my perspective, it seemed like she was introduced and then we left.
yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, yeah,
But yes, he we were introduced to his love interest,
yep.
who I was
As played by Amelia Clark.
yeah, I watched that scene and I heard her speaking. Was like, hang on, is that Amelia Clark? And
Did
it
you not
was.
recognise her face?
No,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was Amelia Clark. And then they try and get away, and there's a chase scene, and they get to like the
Hmm.
spaceport, and they're going to bribe the customs officer. And
Yeah.
I like some of the world building to an extent in this film, and I like the scenes in the spaceport a bit,
Hmm.
and they bribe the woman, and then she lets them both through, and then the shit sort of hits the fan, and she's like, well, fuck this, cut my losses, security alert.
Yeah.
Um, and
And
Amelia,
to escape, he joins the Empire
yes, whereas Amelia Clark gets captured.
and taken back to Worm Lady,
I,
presumably.
I just want to note that um, the opening text, not crawl,
Yes.
um, mentions that there's like criminal syndicates everywhere, and that basically there's crimes running rampant, and there's corruption and whatnot.
Yep.
And
It's not
I
really in line with Palpatine's promises to stamp out corruption, is
well,
it?
no, it doesn't seem like the Empire has too firm a grip on things. It seems like everything's gone to hell and they're in charge, sure, but
Well, I mean, the stuff that follows from Han joining the Empire very much demonstrates that they don't have a complete grip on everything.
well, no. But it's like I'd always assumed the Empire was kind of fully in charge aside from the rebellion. But later on, there's a scene where the big crime boss kills like a regional governor. It's like, oh, okay. Does the Empire not have issues with that?
Well, you would hope they would, but I mean, it's sort of like how a trade federation weren't going to fuck about with a hut.
Mm.
I thought is how I've sort of looked at it.
Well,
You know, we know that the Empire will engage with criminal elements at times because they get the bounty hunters.
maybe
Right?
maybe Palpatine just doesn't give a shit too much. He's in charge. He has a huge amount of power. If there's corruption and shit everywhere, he doesn't really give a shit. The Sith
He
are
might
in
not even
control.
know.
Yeah, I'm sure he doesn't really give a shit. But I sort of like that element. I guess that the Empire are in charge, and there's corruption and criminal syndicates everywhere.
Hmm.
Uh,
Shall we get on to something that I think is going to be on your list of things you didn't like?
is it how Han Solo got his name?
Yes.
Where the guy went, "Oh, Han, you're on your own. Okay, Han Solo.
Mm.
Can't
Yes.
you just make his name fucking Han Solo?"
I will say now that my final note on this is that this is the story of how Han got his name, the Falcon, his gun, and started his life of crime,
Yes.
intergalactic crime.
Let's
That's what this is.
make sure we know how everything is established. How we met Lando. How Chewie learned how to play the chess game thing.
Oh, actually, that's a point. You know those dice that we keep seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't checked the dates. I keep meaning to, but I think there's a reason we keep seeing them, and I think it's because this came out after the Last Jedi.
Okay. So I'm assuming they pop up in that.
They do.
Okay.
But I think that the whole point of them being emphasised in this is because they showed up in that, and there hadn't really been any reference to them prior.
Hmm.
So, like, I think that's the only reason why we see them so much.
Yeah.
Also, I hope you caught it. The recruitment video music.
Yes, I did see that. The essentially the Imperial March in a slightly different key, I think, and a slightly different version of the Imperial March is the official anthem of the Empire,
Which is an interesting
which I'm fine with.
meta choice, isn't it? I think because
Yeah.
obviously we'll recognise it for being effectively Imperial March, and
I just want to revisit the Han Solo name because I mean that's why the character is called that because he's a loner. He's on the outskirts of society. He plays by his own rules. He is Han Solo sort of encapsulates who that guy is, and I think it takes something away for that meaning to also be the in-universe meaning for his name, rather than him not just being born to Mr. and Mrs. Solo.
Especially when you consider the fact that it's also nonsense because throughout all of this he's got someone with him, and throughout the rest of his life, spoiler alert, he's got Chewie.
Yeah. Also, does it not make more sense for him to have given a fake name at that point?
Well, you'd hope so, but
yeah. So then he goes, and we cut to a battle, and I sort of thought, oh, okay, this is. I might actually like this because this is going to be Han Solo in the Imperial military, and we're going to see, Imperial action and him sort of not moving up through the ranks but becoming disillusioned and leaving and whatever.
And yet he was already disillusioned at that point.
And it's 5 minutes or less of action, and that's about it. But he meets Woody Harrelson.
Yep.
And a lady who's an actress whose name I know but I've forgotten.
It was pronounced Tandy Newton, but it's changed, hasn't it?
Yeah.
We pronounce it differently now, and I can't remember how we're supposed to pronounce it now, but it's her.
Yeah, it's Mrs. Newton.
Yes.
Yes, and some alien.
But I liked them in this. I like both of them in this.
Yeah, I'd be fine with. I just wish it'd pick a fucking story. This, you know, it was like, oh, okay, it's gonna be him on this crime planet with this worm crime boss trying to navigate shit around. Oh no, okay, it's gonna be him in the Imperial Army, right? Okay, okay, no, he's doing a heist with these people he's just met. Okay, I can get. Oh no, he's got to find some stuff for this guy, right? Okay.
Well, now you see, I understand you and somewhat agree with you, but I will say that the fact that it is a bit all over, I think, leans into the fact that he's just an incredibly lucky guy who stumbles his way through things. he doesn't tend to have a plan in what he does.
Mm.
In what we've seen of him, right? He tends to somehow just fucking get through it somehow.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what, like, it's okay, fine. He does towards the end, spoiler alert, have a plan in this one,
Yeah.
right? Or at least it's presented as though he's got a plan. But he just sort of looks his way through, and he's the prime example for the way that the Force moves mysteriously is not always something that, like, how it just influences things.
Yeah.
You know, rather than it being, look is a Force thing rather than just a thing, right? And he's a perfect example of it. And this show puts a lot of luck on his side, I would say. Personally.
I get what you're saying from a thematic point of view, and I
Yes.
appreciate it, and I think that's a good idea, and it works in concept. I don't know whether putting it into practice it comes across so well in this film.
No, probably not.
But I get what you mean. I suspect maybe that was what they were aiming for. I guess I don't know, but it just comes across a bit messy, and I just wish they'd fucking pick what they wanted to do. But yeah. So he meets with these people, and then he tries to blackmail them because they're planning to steal this ship for a heist.
Yep.
And
he wants to help them out.
Yeah.
But instead, they don't want him, so he tries to call them out, and he gets thrown in a prison cell.
Yeah.
With a lovable furry friend, Chewbacca.
Yes, I was a bit surprised it was Chewbacca, but I shouldn't have been really.
No, you shouldn't.
I just want to go back to the battle scene because there were parts in this film I was like, this is a film for children, in a way that a lot of the other Star Wars films never felt like to me.
Of a bit with the thermal detonator rock.
Yes. Fucking hell. Yes, I didn't like that.
I thought my note for that is it's a bit silly with the thermal detonator rock, but calling it out sort of makes up for it.
No, I didn't. It just seemed a bit childish, and there's a bit in the.
But
there's bits in the.
It was called out for it, wasn't it? So it's like,
There's bits in the battle that feel sort of not even childish, just sort of a bit lame. When the major gets blowed up, and then some guy cries out, "Oh, my leg!" There's lots of that.
Yeah.
It's just that childish streak pops up frequently in this film, and I did feel it was more. It felt more like a kids' movie than any other Star Wars film, even the ones with fucking Jar Jar Binks in.
So hang on, the bit with a man screaming in the battle because his legs may or may not be there.
It's the way he says it. It's the way.
I just want to make very clear here.
He said it in the same tone of voice. It seemed to me in the moment that a character might scream, "My spleen," Okay. Maybe that's just me, but so he meets Chewbacca. We get another childish bit where he's speaking to him in Wookiee, and we get the translations. And he makes friends with him, and they figure out a way out and run for the ship.
How the hell can he speak a little Wookiee?
I don't know.
I don't know either, and that's something that bugs me. And it shouldn't bug me because I've read a book that's set before this, and it does sort of. I remember it justifying it. But you shouldn't have to read the book.
No, you shouldn't.
I don't even know if I've got the book anymore. I think I gave it to one of the guys at work.
In a sense, it's good that we have such different amounts of Star Wars knowledge, because I'm coming to this very much, or largely in the same way an average viewer of this film might have. Like, there's a Han Solo film, best go see that, and not really knowing any of the ancillary stuff. Whereas you know a good bit more. But so they run for the ship. And they let him on because they're like their Han Solo's got spunk.
He has.
Yes, so they let
him keep it to himself.
So they let him on, and Chewbacca, and then they go to a frozen planet to hijack a train. Lots of Western type. There's a scene towards the end where there's like a Mexican standoff type setup. They're touching into the whole cowboy aspect of Star Wars, which is very much the sort of guy Han Solo is to an extent.
Well,
there's influence there.
That's one of the things that happens in The Mandalorian quite a bit as well. And I think that started after this, so maybe that's something that they got positive feedback on and decided to tap into.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen The Mandalorian, but from what I've heard, it's very, very good. And
It goes off a little bit, but yeah.
I think it benefits from the fact it's not based on an existing character. Like I did have the thought as I was watching this film, would I like this more if this wasn't about Han Solo and was just about a guy
Hmm.
navigating the criminal backwaters of the Empire? Maybe I would.
See, that's a feeling. You know that story with the zombie stormtroopers.
Yeah.
I was loving that right up until Han and Chewie were in it,
Uh,
and then I thought it didn't need to be them. It could
no.
have been anyone, literally any person, and it just
Yeah.
happened to be Han and Chewie.
Yeah.
As,
Got to have that name recognition, or the plebs won't see it.
yeah.
Um,
Um, I just want to very briefly mention a few name drops that happened over the course of this film.
Bosk.
Bosk got mentioned.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're familiar with Bosk. Orva Singh got mentioned. Don't know if you caught that.
Yeah.
Yes, you've seen Orva Singh on screen.
Is it the guy with the fucked up face?
No, Orva Singh is a woman who was watching the pod race. You know, there's a real pale, skinny woman with a sort of reddish hair watching the pod race.
Yeah.
Her.
Okay.
And she did some stuff in the Clone Wars TV show as well with Boba Fett, but that's mostly irrelevant for the purpose of this. You've seen her on screen, is what I'm getting at.
Right.
They also mentioned Scarif, which is something that it's a very important place in Rogue One.
Right.
So that's coming up. But I think this came out after Rogue One,
Right.
so it makes sense that it was a name drop then for something that we'd already known about, rather than it being foreshadowing sort of name drop.
Mm.
And also Rio, the four-armed pilot guy,
Yeah.
played by Jon Favreau.
Oh, right.
I don't know if you're familiar with much of Jon Favreau's work.
He's the guy who directed the shitty, in massive quotation marks, live action Lion King.
He does a lot of stuff with Disney.
Yeah.
He's very involved in the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
As well as starring in them.
Yeah.
But no, I figured it was worth mentioning because it's everyone else you sort of know who they are from seeing them, right?
I mentioned Felucia at one point too.
They do. Lando did a job on Felucia.
Yeah.
But we never find out what that was.
No.
Anyway, yeah. So they're trying to rob this train. They're trying to get what is it? They're trying to get
Some sort of fuel thing.
Yeah, it's called coaxium.
Yeah.
Spelled coaxium. But
Yeah.
pronounced coaxium.
That old-fashioned Western train robbery.
Yep. And it all goes Pete Tong, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Lots.
Some people turn up.
Yeah, Mrs. Newton blows up.
Yep. By her own volition, and I really liked the way that her and Harrison were playing off each other in this. I thought that the history there was sort of believable.
Yeah.
They'd been doing this. They were connected to each other in more than just the work, as it were.
Mm.
I believed that was a parting that was, meant something.
Jon Favreau gets shot and dies, so Han has to fly the ship, and Chewie sorts the locks, and some mercenaries show up to steal their loot, and almost bloody manage it. And then they fly into they're flying towards a cliff, and they drop the load. Han drops his load, even though Woody Harrelson tells him he doesn't want him to. And
drops it anyway.
Yeah, the mercenaries have to drop theirs too, because it's too heavy for him.
And then it explodes everywhere.
Yeah.
And I liked the visual of that.
I bet you did.
Yeah, I thought that explosion looked quite nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like they were trying to sort of go along with the seismic charge feel for that, but it didn't quite hit the same.
You liked the look of Han Solo's load exploding, did you?
Now, I know you're being a dick here, but come on. You said we'll get this done.
Okay. Sorry. Sorry. What happens next? They land and bury.
They meet up with Dryden Boss. It's the next big thing.
Well, yeah, they bury Jon Favreau and put a little cross for Mrs. Newton. And as you rightly say, they meet up with the crime boss because they now owe him money, and there's a party. What a surprise! What's her face is there? Emilia Clarke.
Yeah. I felt this was very much like a variation of the introduction to Jabba's palace.
There were,
This
yeah, yeah.
wasn't quite as over the top.
I think I have problems with Han Solo's characterization in this film.
Okay.
He's really jaded and sort of distant in the original trilogy, but here he's sort of gung ho, and I guess they're trying to show how that was sort of beaten out of him by life experiences, which I guess is fine.
Yeah,
Um,
that ending in particular, I think, is probably
yeah,
a key element. Maybe not the ending, but like the ending of this stuff with the crime syndicate heist.
yeah. Um, he doesn't. He's been away from this woman for like 2 years, right? That's what it says. It's 2 year, 2 or 3 years.
So three years with the army. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Why? I mean, for one, that's an awfully long time. You think if he was that keen, he probably would have dipped out before then. But also, he's not like he doesn't seem that bothered,
by
really,
what?
by the
By the
fact
fact
that
that she's there, or
she is ostensibly back on that Cordelia or Corellia or whatever the fuck it is, suffering.
mm.
He doesn't seem all that. It doesn't haunt him the same way I would imagine it probably would haunt somebody if it had been 3 years and they were still trying to figure out a way to get him back.
Yeah, fair point.
And they have a meeting, and we never really find out in full. I mean, I guess she sort of got sold into slavery, maybe, or used her initiative to climb up the ranks and ended up as like the top lieutenant of this crime syndicate place.
Yeah, there's some sort of. It's a story we don't get told, and no doubt that will be in a comic book.
Joy.
Uh,
Um, yes, and then they have this meeting with what's his face. I can't remember the actor's name, but I've seen him in a few things.
it's Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany, yes.
Plays Dryden Voss.
Yes, and he is not particularly pleased that they've lost his load, but they promise they can get him another.
Yeah, just one. There's a lot of Easter eggs, Star Wars Easter eggs from Legends and otherwise within that yacht scene.
Yeah,
Uh, Basically, none of them mean anything to me with the knowledge that I've got. Shows you how obscure they are. But one that does stick out is the sort of hand servant people with half a head.
yeah,
They're called decraniated,
right.
and they are the handiwork of a Dr. Avazan.
Okay, is he the guy who made Grievous or something?
No, he's the bloke who's mates with Ponda Barber.
Oh, I see. He's okay.
They are his handiwork. That's something that he did.
That was good of
Um,
him.
so yeah, just as a little
Is he the walrus
background
or is
bit.
he the other guy?
Ponda Barber is the walrus guy.
Okay,
Avazan is the bloke who actually speaks in basic
is his husband? Okay. Um, yeah,
secret lover.
yeah. So they're going to get another bunch of fuel, and it's located on this mining planet, and they've got a
Kessel.
Kessel, and of course we get the whole Kessel Run thing a bit later, which gives a shit. Um, but they need a
But they need
ship.
a ship first.
Yes,
Yes.
and luckily Amelia Clark knows a chap called Lando Calrissian,
Hmm.
who I thought was fine.
Yeah, I thought Donald Glover was a decent fit.
I thought he was perfect. You know, he wasn't as charismatic as what's his face, but he's fine.
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, and they play a
It
game.
wouldn't hurt you to know their names. You
I
know,
can't remember. I can't remember
You
names.
could write them down.
I could.
You could make a point of actually getting the info. No, don't give a shit.
So they play a game of cards,
One of only a handful of black men in the universe, so you don't want to know his name.
and of
Racist.
course we think that Han Solo is going to win because that's
Mm.
the story that he wins it in a game of cards, but he loses.
Bum, bum, bum.
And then Amelia Clark sort of talks him round, and Woody Harrelson comes in and is very revered by this Lando Calrissian chap. And they get the
Because he
Millennium
killed that
Falcon.
woman.
Yes. And they fly off, but not before picking up his co pilot, who is a robot
Hmm.
called V2.
L337.
L337,
Jesus Christ, you are fucking awful sometimes.
played by Phoebe
Do
Waller
you know?
Phoebe Waller Bridges.
Yes, that's right. Correct. Well done. You got one right.
I did not like that character much.
Did you not?
No,
Two one-track mind for you.
I just thought maybe too much personality for a droid.
Well, you see, I preferred this. I quite like that character because there's some actual fucking personality and we could understand it.
Yeah,
Right?
I
That's not something that we get from a lot. One of the reasons why, in terms of the fan favorite protocol droids,
yeah,
the three big ones tend to be her,
yeah,
K2SO, who's in the next one, and HK47 from the KOTOR games,
right.
and they've all got a fucking attitude. And it's something that, generally speaking, is quite well received. So I think you might be an outlier on this one.
I don't mind droids with attitude or personalities, but I think there's a line, and I think that performance is maybe a bit much for that character. And I don't disagree with the character in principle, but I just think it's a bit. I don't know. I don't know. It's
You
too.
think it's a bit much?
I think
I think it's great.
I think it's played too heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing I will say,
Yeah.
because it hasn't happened yet, or it hasn't been changed yet, is that we actually get to see the Falcon in a good condition.
Yeah, look pretty.
When they get in it, it's pristine almost.
Yes, Lando Calrissian has his wardrobe.
Yep, so many capes.
Yeah,
Too many, perhaps.
which I don't mind too much. He's a fashionable chap.
Yep.
And then they go flying off, don't they,
To Kessel.
to Kessel, and they
Yep.
get to the mine planet, and Chewie and Hannah playing slaves,
Hmm.
and they go in for a meeting, and I noticed Woody Harrelson was dressed in the same thing that Lando would be dressed in,
Yeah.
which I didn't care for.
No, that's fair enough. You gotta wonder why he's got that outfit. Is it some sort of sexual roleplay thing?
Well, we have to explain why he has the outfit, Jordan. It couldn't just be something he acquired.
No, I mean, it's a problem now that we need to explain it. Beforehand, he was just replacing some guard, right? Now, why has he got it? Is it because it's some sort of sexual roleplay thing?
Maybe.
It must be.
Are we suggesting Woody Harrelson is rocked up in the equivalent of a gimp suit?
Yeah, probably.
And then because it's an alien planet, nobody recognizes it and just goes with it.
Yeah. Or maybe they do, and they're like, you know what? Not our problem.
Yes. He was wearing a
we
butt
do-
plug the whole time.
We do see something that is only ever threatened elsewhere, and that is Chewbacca having ripped someone's arm off.
Yes, I like that scene.
Mm.
It was a funny-ish little scene between him and Han, where Han wanted to wear the other guards' clothes because they were a better fit, and Chewie's only gone and ruined it.
Yeah.
I mean, he could wear it without the sleeves, but whatever.
Well, yeah. Yeah. So shit hits the fan. Load of basically a prison break occurs because
Yes. A
of
droid rebellion. All the
Yeah.
droids are fucking about with the systems and breaking the chains of the masses.
Hmm.
And
You know,
yeah,
typical Caesar Mesa Productions bullshit.
Chewbacca helps the Wookiees.
Yeah, which is fair enough because he's that's kind of the whole reason why he's out and about, isn't it? He's trying to find
Yeah.
Wookiees.
And Han gets the fuel, and they go to
Mhm.
the ship, and there's a firefight, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge gets killed.
Yes. Sure, you were quite pleased.
I couldn't care less.
There
There's
are
a-
some people who look at that as being quite a sad moment, not because of her death, but because of what happened to her in terms of her mind being put in the navigation computer. It's in many ways a form of enslavement that goes against everything she stood for.
Yeah, I suppose that's
Um,
true.
So
See, there was
I
a
don't know if
weird,
that's
there was a
something
weird
people-
scene earlier where she was like, "Lando totally wants to fuck me," but I'm not letting that happen. It's a bit awkward, to be honest.
Sometimes she thinks about it, but
It was
They're not
just,
good
it
ones.
was just like this is. She's talking like a person.
yeah. Well, again, like I say, it's K2SO and HK47 both spoke fairly human-like, and they were both well received. I don't
Mm.
think The only fundamental difference between her and them is she's a woman. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only real difference between the two. And when you see K2SO next week, you'll know what I mean.
Maybe I'm just a misogynist.
You may well be, and I look forward to finding out that you really like K2SO and being able to call you out on it.
Yeah.
He was played by Alan Tudyk, by the way.
Who?
Alan Tudyk?
Who's that?
Oh, he's very famous for voice roles. He was Steve the Pirate in Dodgeball.
Right. I'd never seen
But-
Dodgeball.
Oh, how the fuck have you not seen Dodgeball?
So they go flying off, and
Uncultured.
Woody Harrelson at some point tells Han not to trust Amelia Clark,
Not to trust anyone.
or anyone indeed, because she burned down King's Landing, I guess. And
Well, she's going to, I think, at that point. She
Yeah.
hasn't done it yet, but he must have seen the script.
and they go to this refueling this planet where they can get.
Whoa! You've skipped a whole chunk.
Oh shit! Yeah, they need to find the Kessel. Go on, you take over.
So as they are leaving Kessel,
Yeah.
there is an Imperial Star Destroyer in the way, which it is already quite narrow passage, and I quite like the visual of that. The whole, I like the way that looked personally. In fact, I like the whole look of everything whilst they're in this section like around Kessel.
Yes.
I think it looks good. But yeah, so instead of going through what they call the maelstrom, I think it is, or the pathway or whatever it is that we're meant to go through, they fly into a great big mess that no one ever comes out of. Which maybe what was that? It was planet-sized carbon bergs, perhaps even vacuum-breathing life forms.
Yes.
That they talk about, and the Maw as well gets mentioned.
Yes, we do see a vacuum breathing life form, don't we?
We do, and we see the Maw as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, which turns out to be a massive fucking black hole, or gravity well they call it, but let's be honest, it's a black hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a bit of flying, there's a bit of a chase. What did you feel about all this whole thing?
I thought it was fine.
I quite like the visual of it, and I quite like the bit where the TIE fighter gets actually hit by the Millennium Falcon. Like they clip it so it flies into it.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a nice. You don't see physical.
I did
It
like
tends to be shooting, doesn't it? But
I did like there's a scene where the TIE fighter screen breaks and he starts freezing because it's so cold out there.
yes, yeah, because they're skidding on the floor, aren't they? To get bits of ice to shoot up into him. So
Yeah.
I don't know if that's exactly what they were intending.
That wasn't my reading of it. I didn't actually understand what they were trying to do.
The fact they didn't do a full 180, which would make sense if they were trying to use the front cannons,
Yeah.
makes me think that they were trying to do that, but it's not well communicated. But no, yeah, I mean, I like this whole thing. There's that bit with the monster, the vacuum breathing creature.
I liked how the gravity well or black hole or whatever it was. I mean, they call it a gravity well. But, I like watching the monsters sort of get ripped apart by it, like the skin gets ripped off it.
Well, you will be very pleased to know that one of the pictures that I've already got is of that happening.
Lovely.
It's not loading well for me. I'm going to try and get these sent over to you when we're finished. But
Lovely.
I thought that was good. They managed to do the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs if you round it down.
Yeah.
Which puts into question the whole accuracy of less than 12 parsecs.
It was 25.
Well, apparently you used to not be able to do it in less than 20.
Wow.
And he did it in 12 if you round it down.
Yeah.
So
12.
he is definitely still boasting
12.7.
when he says less than 12.
Yeah.
Then we get to this planet.
And they're refining stuff, and Lando fucks off because he's annoyed.
Yep.
And the mercenaries come down, and one of them's a lady. One of them's Warwick Davis. Or Davies.
Interesting thing. He is, as far as I understand it, reprising his role from Phantom Menace.
Huh.
That is supposedly the same character.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's why I mentioned it.
Wonder if him and Watto still keep in touch.
Watto might well be dead by now.
Well, there is a comic where Anakin goes back and kills him.
So yeah, they go there. Turns out that these people are not marauders. They're trying to. They're proto rebels, as it were.
Yeah, yeah, and she tells a story about a planet where people got their tongues cut out, which I imagine is this one, right? Must be,
I think
presumably.
so because no one else fucking says anything. So
No. Quick question.
go on.
There's an actor when they go in at the bar,
Hmm.
and he looks very similar to one of the two pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes, he does, doesn't he? He looks like the two, the Mackenzie Crook and the other guy. He's
Yeah,
the other guy. Yeah, I thought that as well.
yeah.
I don't think it's him.
I saw that, and I assumed it must be okay. He's gonna do something, but he never really does anything, and he's only
No,
on
that's why I
screen
don't think it's
shortly.
him.
My assumption was he's too big for a small role like that, but he looks very similar.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um, so
No, I
yeah,
thought so. Yeah. So yeah,
me-
now they have to weigh up whether they're going to let these proto rebels have the fuel stuff or whether they're going to give it to the big bad crime boss guy.
mhm,
Han tries to convince Woody Harrelson of a plan. Harrelson storms off. It's like I ain't getting into this. I don't care. I'd rather run
yeah,
at this point.
yeah,
And so they have a plan. Han goes with Amelia Clark to deliver the fuel, or seemingly deliver the fuel to the big bad guy, the big bad crime boss.
yeah.
Hmm.
And when they get there, everything seems to be going all right, and then the big bad crime boss reveals, ah, I had somebody has tipped me off to your plan. And
Yes.
he's like, "Oh my God, Amelia Clark, you have betrayed me," which I was sort of expecting all the way through.
Yep.
Um, and then he's like, "No, it was Woody Harrelson."
Bum bum bum.
Yes, it wasn't him,
Yeah.
by the way. It wasn't the Star Trek guy. Or the Pirates of the Caribbean
Pirates of the
guy.
Caribbean. Yeah.
I've just checked. Looks very
I was very
similar.
sure
No,
it wasn't.
yeah, I was sure it was until he didn't do anything. But yeah, um, yes. So Woody Harrelson has betrayed them.
Yep.
But Han Solo predicted such an eventuality.
Yes, because he said the thing is that he apparently wasn't listening when he got told not to trust anyone, but he was listening when Chewbacca got told that people are predictable,
Yes,
and so he made a plan, or seems to have made a plan based around that predictable.
yes,
Yeah,
and
predictability.
it turns out the fuel is actually there.
Yeah,
So
legitimately.
while the crime boss's guys are getting fucked up, Woody Harrelson nicks the fuel and buggers off with Chewie. He needs someone to
Yeah,
carry it. And then as soon as he leaves, there's a bit of a fight, and Amelia Clark looks like she's going to kill Han.
but she doesn't. She fights off a big bad crime boss man,
Yeah, she kills Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany. Yeah.
Yeah, and tells Han to make a run for it, and they're going to sell the fuel and fly off and live happily ever after. And he's like,
No, they won't sell the fuel. They'll sell like the gems or whatever.
"Oh yeah,
But he
that.
needs to go save Chewbacca first.
Yeah, because the proto rebels are going to use that for their own aims."
Yeah.
So yes, Han leaves, and
And
Emily,
a switch flips, doesn't it? And she becomes the crime boss.
yeah, she takes over and contacts Darth Maul.
Darth Maul, yes, who is established as being in charge of Crimson Dawn. By the way,
It,
he's established that that is something that he did
really?
even before all this. Oh yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
is it in this film that that's
No,
established? Oh, it's not, is it?
I don't think I don't think it's established in any of the films, but it's a thing that has been established previously
Right.
elsewhere.
I mean, because
It's
as somebody who's watching this and not really watching any of the ancillary stuff, I saw that and was like, okay, Darth Maul is is here.
hmm.
it, it was just a
So
bit.
Darth Maul and other stuff is established as the leader of Crimson Dawn.
Well, all right,
I
but
think there's even a fucking game where he's in charge of it.
that might
So,
play into the wider universe. But for a casual viewer, that comes right the fuck out of nowhere and doesn't
well,
amount to
yeah,
a thing.
for a casual viewer, you're meant to think, "What the fuck? I thought he was dead.
Yeah, I did.
Now he's a llama."
I didn't really care for it.
No, oh, well, this is your problem. Is that you're not willing to have fun?
I am willing to have fun, but
No, you're not.
it needs to amount to something.
The thing is, the thing about Darth Maul, and I don't know if we're going to get this in a live action at any point now because it's all been so badly received. The thing about Darth Maul is that he didn't really get a chance to be anything in the original film,
No, he didn't.
and that is one of the wonderful things about having so much extra content is that he had an opportunity to become something,
Okay.
to be something worth experiencing, for the character to come through, and he has some fantastic stuff in the Clone Wars.
Okay. I mean, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. I okay, whatever.
Don't just whatever me.
No, I just
Rude.
he got cut in half and fell down a hole.
Oh yeah, because falling off stuff kills everyone, doesn't it?
I know, but it's just like nobody's really dead, and it's just, he should have been more in the prequels.
Just you wait till the sequels.
I was
Have you ever heard the story of Darth Sidious, the Emperor?
well, as long as he doesn't return somehow, we should be all right.
Yeah, you know, there's worse sins than bringing
Yeah, I'm not prepared to die on that hill. I'm just a bit tired of it.
just you wait.
I like Darth Maul, and I think he's cool, and I wish he'd done more in the prequels. But I just think it's a bit of a clumsy way to sort of retcon that. And his appearance in this film took me by a bit of surprise, and I just. Anyway, Han Solo is on the hill, and he is facing down Woody Harrelson, and Han shoots first.
Yeah, he shoots him before. Well, because Woody Harrelson's going to tell him something, isn't he?
Yes, Woody Harrelson.
Han just shoots him.
Yeah, which was the clever move because Woody Harrelson admits, like, yeah, I was definitely going to kill you.
Yeah.
Um,
And of course, you know that's only in there because of the whole Greedo thing.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, like it's the only reason. That's why you said hand shot first.
Well, I didn't really make the connection until just now, to be honest. But yeah. I mean, he's learned a lot.
Yeah, you know, he's learned that it's not
He's
all
gone
sunshine and
from-
roses.
I-
You just have
yeah.
to actually work for it. People die if you fuck up.
Yeah, I just sort of wish the whole betrayal thing and never really knowing who to trust was a more prominent theme throughout the film.
Mm.
Because I was thinking right from the beginning, Amelia Clarke is going to betray him. Like I thought she was
And
going
she
to.
does.
I thought she was going to sell him out from the first scene or something like that. You know.
Mm.
I wish there was a bit more back and forth and stuff like that. But yeah. So
Well, I don't necessarily think that she betrayed him. I think that if she had gone with him, she would have been betraying herself.
yeah.
Because when you look at things, look at where she was and the position that she's in now, do you think she's going to go bloody smuggling with with Han Solo
No.
and his hairy pal? What a step down that would be.
Yeah.
You know, as clearly repulsed as she is by the fact that she's going to have to work with Darth Maul.
Yeah.
Because he says about how we're going to be working much more closely together or whatever it is. And she seems visibly uncomfortable about that.
Yeah.
You know, it's still a step up from where she was, and going with Han would have very much be a massive step down.
True that. So yeah.
You know, she made the right call.
I guess maybe there's a story in there about ambition and getting away from your lowly start in life, and I don't know. They're both running away from the same thing, but in different ways. I guess I don't know. Yeah. So Han shoots and kills Woody Harrelson, and then the yacht takes off, and then he gives the fuel and says he's not going to join the proto-rebels.
Presumably, can they give him a lift?
Yeah.
Because you know, he's got no shit.
Maybe he has to wait at the space bus stop.
Yeah.
And then next time we see him, he goes to this jungly planet and finds out that Lando was cheating.
Yeah, he sees the little card
Yes.
dispenser in his sleeve.
Yes, and he nicks it. So when they play, Lando doesn't have the ace up his sleeve, so to speak, or the blue up his sleeve.
That's the green Psylocke, I believe is the name.
Yeah. So Han wins outright. As he probably
Yeah,
should have done the
famous word.
first time. And he gets the Millennium Falcon and he flies off for adventures new, perhaps to hook up with that big crime leader on Tatooine. What has that heist for him?
Yes. It's important to note this is a few years before um, A New Hope.
And this is him hooking up and working with Jabba for a bit before he loses his money and
Yeah.
well, I mean, it makes a sort of sense. He feels like he can talk his way out of it because that's basically the exact same setup in this film.
Mm. Oh yeah.
And it worked then.
Yeah, I mean, there's a recurring theme in this movie that we get a glimpse at in A New Hope as well, in where when shit gets tough, he dumps his load.
Yeah.
And speaking of, it was nice, I thought, to actually see the smuggling containers, like the
I
under the floor, but it's actually used for that.
I thought there was a scene with big monsters running around the Millennium Falcon, or is that in
No,
the one of the sequels?
that's in one of the sequels.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Specifically, the first one, so The Force Awakens.
Yeah. Okay.
So you got two movies still. One movie, and then it'll be the one after that.
Yeah. Well. Yes. That's Solo.
A Star Wars story.
I thought it was meh.
Well, I'd say it at the start. I thought it was a story that didn't need telling, but was fine.
I think it would have been better. I mean, I liked the sort of world building and the criminal elements of it, and I would have liked some more stuff about big crime lords sort of dealing with the Empire and things like that. And I don't know. I don't know. Maybe there's a good prequel story for Han Solo. This ain't it. I don't think. Um, I I I didn't hate it, but yeah.
Well, that's better than it could have gone for you. Let's be all good things. Did you expect it to be better or worse than it actually was?
I expected to hate it.
Okay, and you didn't hate it, so that's a win.
Yeah, and were there things I really liked? No, there weren't. There weren't. There were things I thought were okay, but there was nothing I was like. I went into it and I thought I expected to really hate it, so I told myself, right, you will find some things in here that you think are really good and we'll be able to talk about. But it never really happened.
Do you not feel like any of the performances were noteworthy?
I don't feel like the guy who played Han Solo felt like Han
No,
Solo really.
no. I remember criticism from the time about that.
I feel like Emilia Clarke, and this is just I don't like very British actors for some reason.
Hmm.
Um, maybe because it's easier for me to see them as people than Americans. I don't know. Um,
Because you're a little bit racist. That's what it is.
Woody Harrelson's good, but Woody
He is.
Harrelson's always good in a
Yeah, that's a
fairly
gimme, isn't it?
fine role, I guess. I mean,
Okay.
there's nothing really standout about this film for me. Nothing.
No.
Um, yeah, maybe the spaceport bits of the spaceport
Yeah,
scene.
you spoke quite favourably about it when we were going over it before.
Yeah, there's a good bit of tension in there, and like the setup and things like that. But yeah, I will probably never watch this movie ever again. So
Wow, you say that.
where does it rank for you?
Uh, you see, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't. I think I prefer it to Phantom.
You prefer this to the Phantom Menace,
I think so.
but you love the Phantom Menace.
I know, but the thing about this is that as much as I disagree with the idea of it existing at all,
Hmm.
because it didn't need telling, the story didn't need telling.
Yeah.
I think they did it really well.
So you think while you're not your heart says the Phantom Menace, but your head says Solo is more competently made.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, this was the thought I had because I don't. I mean, I'm on record as saying I don't think the prequels are very good films, but I don't dislike watching them to a large extent because there's so much wrong with them. It's very easy to sort of rewrite them because they could have been great. And Solo doesn't really leave me with much of anything in that regard. And I think I agree with the sentiment that the worst thing a movie can do is be boring. Um, and this is sort of more in line with that. So I would put this right at the bottom. This is my least favorite.
This is your least favorite film.
Yeah, I think it goes this Phantom Menace. Uh, what's it? Was it this Phantom Menace,
Oh,
Revenge of the
Fangirls.
Sith, Clone
I've
Wars,
stopped keeping
Attack of the
track. I didn't
Clones,
care in the first place.
Attack of the Clones, um, Return of the Jedi, A New Hope, and Empire. So yeah, this is my least favorite.
Okay, working down. Empire, Return, um, this. No,
Attack of the Clones,
yeah,
Revenge of the Sith.
this.
Yeah.
No. So it's Empire, Return, this, joint Phantom and Attack of Clones,
Mhm.
and I can't remember where I sat with A New Hope and Revenge of the Sith. I like I've said before. I feel like A New Hope is limited by the fact that it was created as a standalone when everything else hasn't been. I know this is a standalone film, but it's not really.
Nah.
You know,
Well.
because of
Yeah.
what it means for the wider stuff. It has the benefit of everything else, whereas A New Hope sort of doesn't.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm being unfair about it. And again, maybe my thoughts on A New Hope are not A New Hope. Phantom are jaded by nostalgia. I don't
Yeah.
know. Don't just say yes.
Well, they are. They are, Jordan. They are. And
I'm
they,
willing,
I,
the fact I'm willing to acknowledge it, and I'm not sort of outright saying, "Oh, they're good because they're good films and all that." I may the fact that I came into this expecting it to be much higher on my ranking,
yeah. Yeah.
right, should be fucking indication enough. But I'm not. Letting nostalgia blind me.
No, I know. I didn't.
Okay,
I
so
didn't.
don't. No,
No.
that's what you get across when I say maybe they're jaded by, and you outright say yes they are. That suggests that you think that I've put it too high based on my nostalgic views.
No.
No, that's what it suggests.
Okay. Let me explain what I actually feel on that score. I've always said for a long time now that you think too highly of the Phantom Menace because you grew up with it, and I appreciate the fact that you acknowledge that, and I like that. I think you've been very fair with your view of Phantom Menace, while still acknowledging that perhaps a lot of your appreciation from it comes from the fact that you grew up with it.
I think there's a lot of good in it,
Yeah.
but it's not the best in the series.
Mm.
You know, it's at this point it's in the lower half.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
But I look forward to us both getting a new top spot next week.
I know I can hear you rubbing your hands together in
I was.
anticipation.
No, mate, I was stroking my cock. No, I was rubbing my hands.
Yes.
I look forward to finding out just how much you hate it, realizing that this series was a bad idea. Look, the trouble is, and I'm going to say this now before you watch it.
Yeah.
The trouble is, it is also Rogue One, the next film that we will be watching next week.
Yeah.
Is very much a film that did not need to be made.
Yeah.
But the amount of work that went into making it feel like it did need to be made, and the amount of work they put into making it feel like it should have been made in the 70s, whilst working with modern day visuals, so you get wonderful visual effects. You know, I think it really worked. I think it really fucking works as a film. It didn't need to exist, but the fact it does is something that I am so fucking happy about.
I'm going to say now, in cases like this, tone and world building go a long way for me. So if it has those, you might be all right. If it doesn't,
I'm going to give you a spoiler alert.
Yeah.
A single spoiler alert, and it's inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. But there's a bit towards the end where we have fighters that were in the Battle of Yavin. And in order to recreate the feel, they had the pilots, the people playing the pilots, grow 70s style mustaches.
Well,
so they would fit in with how it looked back then, because this is set just before A New Hope. So it wouldn't make sense for them to look completely different, would it? You know, that's the level of effort they put into it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how I feel.
So anyway, that's next week. Thank you for joining us this week.
Bye.
Oh, I expected a bit more than that.
All right. Yes, thanks for joining us. We're getting through it. We're almost done. Thank fuck.
Like, share, subscribe. There's 4 left.
Yeah.
And then we'll probably find something else for a few weeks.
We
I
are
guess.
more than halfway through. Holy shit, we've done 7.
Yeah.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
fuck.
Are we doing something after, or are we just waiting till Doctor Who?
We'll figure it out. Bye.
Okay, cool. Bye.